Now it's time for another Board Game Brawl preview with Nick Meanahan, sponsored by BoardGameBliss.com. Hey people, today we're going to take a look at a game that is currently seeking funding on Kickstarter. That game is called No Honor Among Thieves, and it's from Carpe Omnis Games. Now, if you like what you see throughout the rest of this preview video, I'm going to encourage you to go to the official Kickstarter project page. You can follow the link up in the top corner of your screen, as well as down in the description section underneath this video. Those links will take you to the page. You can find out more information and hopefully consider backing the project. Now, No Honor Among Thieves is a competitive game, but with some cooperative aspects, so you might call it a semi-cooperative game. Because in this game, it takes place in a medieval fantasy world. You and the other players are the lowest of the low, thieves of society. You are trying to perform heists. You want to break into prestigious places. Well, it might be something as, in the beginning of the game, it might just be like warehouse stocks full of mercantile goods, but it could be all the way up to the Grand Palace. You're trying to break in, steal money, steal treasure cards, all these different types of things. But in order to do that, you need to get through the defenses of the place. Now, you might be able to raise a crew all on your own in order to do that, but more often than not, you're going to have to get help from the other players and their crew, which means they're going to have to take a cut of the profit. But, as the name of this game implies, there is no honor among thieves. Not really anyways. It might last for a little while, but eventually someone is going to betray someone else in order to get a bigger slice of the pie, and then all bets are off. Let me give you a brief look at how the game is played with a prototype version of the game. So, in this prototype version that you're going to see, there's some temporary artwork used, there's some close to final artwork used, but just keep in mind this is a prototype version. Go to the Kickstarter page to find out more information about what's final and what's not. Then we're going to come back, I'll give you my final thoughts. No Honor Among Thieves is a competitive game with cooperative aspects. The goal of the game is to have the most coins at the end. The end happens when someone has heisted one of the Stage 3 objectives. To begin with, shuffle up each of the decks of cards and give each player a cheat sheet, 5 coins, and 3 random hidden agenda cards from which they'll pick 2. These are kept hidden from the other players until the end of the game. If you can meet the goals on these cards, you'll get extra coins at the end. Next, you'll set up the objectives. Shuffle each level of objective, remove 2 at random from each stack, and then stack the 2s on the 3s face down, and flip up the first 2 level 1 objectives. Objectives come front-loaded with coins according to their value, and you'll draw and place as many defense cards as are indicated on the bottom. Defense cards must be overcome during heists. Your crew will need to have all the indicated attribute symbols of the 4 types: Lies, Muscle, Stealth, and Tinker. Some may give you an additional bonus if you're successful, like treasure cards. A separate playmat that's always in play indicates where characters go when they are arrested or killed, and it's double-sided to indicate whether or not the game is still honorable. It starts off on the honorable side, but when one player or more than one player betrays the other players, then it goes to the broken honor side. Next, players will draft characters. There will be 2 characters per player on the table. Whoever is the starting player has first pick, and then it goes clockwise. The first time around, each player must pay coins for their choice as indicated. When the last player chooses, they choose again, and then it goes back in reverse order, except that players don't have to pay this time. Take your characters and put them face up in front of you, then flip 5 more cards over from the deck to make the hiring pool, and then put 3 more characters in jail. Characters all have 1 or more skills they can contribute to a heist, as well as special circumstantial abilities. Finally, every player randomly gets 4 scheme cards that they keep hidden. These cards come in multiple types and can be played in specific phases to influence the game. You can have a max of 7 at any time. In turn order, each player takes 3 actions, and you can choose from any of the following. You can recruit a character, as long as it doesn't put you above 4. You can draw new scheme cards until you hit 7 cards. You can play any number of scheme cards that are of the logistic type. You can rest, which refreshes all your used characters and lets you either draw 2 schemes or discard any number of schemes from your hand, but not both. You can cycle out the current lineup of characters and replace them. Or you can spend an action to exchange any number of cards, including characters, with other players in order to make deals. But back to the most important and most complicated action, which is performing a heist. First, decide whether you think you can do it alone or whether you need help from other players. If you need help, ask other players to assist with their characters, and then negotiate the split of the loot, which might also include treasure cards. Next, you have to breach the defenses of the objective that you've targeted. The players may play up to 2 characters to overcome each defense, and this must happen to even get to the objective. After that, players in order may either play complications or active scheme cards, use their character's abilities, or do nothing. If everyone passes in a row, this part is over. But if during all the card playing and character ability using, anything that the contributing characters did to each other caused a character to get killed or arrested, they must go on the appropriate spaces immediately. If, after all of that, it turns out that you're failing the heist because you can no longer meet the requirements of the defenses, you may ask the other players who weren't contributing to help, and then therefore put them in on the cut. But let's assume that the heist succeeds, and you rip through every defense. If more than one player contributed, there's a moment of truth. Every player takes a scheme card from their hand and places it face down. Then they're all revealed. Any card that is not marked as moment of truth is discarded with no effect. If no one did any shenanigans, you simply move on, split up the loot per whatever agreement you came to before, and if there are treasure cards that are part of the rewards, someone is going to get those depending on what agreement you came to as well. If one player played a betrayal card, however, they get the number of coins indicated on the card that they played, and they take any treasure cards, while whoever did not betray splits the remaining coins. If multiple players betrayed at the same time, no one gets the treasure cards, and then whoever played betrayal cards are going to split the coins in some fashion. The first time any betrayal happens, flip the jail/graveyard mat to its broken honor side, and now you can use any broken code abilities that are on some certain scheme cards. If the whole heist was a failure anyways, the players get a couple compensatory coins for any defense they did get through, and a new defense is put in its place. But then the remaining defenses counterattack. Roll a die for each one and consult the chart on the objective to see what happens, unless it's a City Watch card, which has special effects that all end in arrest. Arrested characters can be retrieved by staging a heist against the jail and its jailer. Throw another coin on the objective that was not chosen, and then, if you succeeded with the objective that you did try, discard that objective and replace it off the stack. Some of the objectives in the game, by the way, get more complicated with their own special abilities. As stated before, when one of the Stage 3 objectives is successfully popped, the game ends. Everyone reveals all of their hidden agendas, adds any coins for successfully completing them to their stash, and then whoever has the biggest pile of money is the winner. Well, of course, the semi-cooperative aspects of No Honor Among Thieves is, I think, what's going to become most notable about it. The idea that you can try and hot dog it yourself going through the game, but that is exceedingly difficult. And the players who decide to make alliances with each other temporarily, of course, in order to go through these different heists and get as many coins, therefore points, as possible, they're going to be the ones who are skyrocketing ahead. So you need to get in on that action. And there's a big question in the game of when should you choose to betray? Not should you, but when should you? Because it will happen. Someone's going to do it to someone else, and that's what happens with Thieves. No one wants to be the person who is betrayed. Everyone wants to be the one who is doing the betraying, and everyone becomes paranoid, and then everyone starts worrying about who's going to do it and when. So you lull someone into a false sense of security, and then put the hammer down on them at a later point. But when is that point? That's the important thing, because when you play... If more than one player is involved in a heist, but then more than one player also plays a betrayal card, everyone gets a smaller cut of the coins. And there's also a lot of other monkey wrenches that can be thrown in because every Moment of Truth card does something different. So some Moment of Truth cards that are not actual betrayal cards will protect you if someone else did play a betrayal. So you actually could take extra coins or something to that effect. Or really screw over the players who decided to play the betrayal or traitor cards. So there's a lot of different wheels spinning, plates spinning at that point that you have to worry about, because it's not, you may say, oh, I've got the perfect time to betray everyone, and it just doesn't work out for you, and you've now burned the trust bridge behind you. Of course, by doing that, it opens up the options of playing with the nastier abilities on some of the cards, because now you go to the Code of Honor has now been broken, and there's no holding back at that point. So there's an interesting aspect there. It's very interesting how it's very simple actually how you're matching up the symbols on your characters in order to get through the defenses. But again, easier said than done because you only have a limited number of crew. You have to ask for help from other players, and it's very difficult. It's expensive to get crew. Remember, money is points in this game, and you could try to bust them out of jail, but that in and of itself is a heist, which is not too easy. So it's not easy to perform a heist, and this game really gets that across. But depending on how you do it, there could be big points involved. There's a lot of risk-reward in the game, and therefore a lot of decision-making as well. So I think the game does a very good job of capturing what it's like to stage a heist and having to work together with disparate entities. That's actually the thing that it gets across the most with the theme, is how you have to work with other people and then eventually stab them right in the back. So I think that if that's your type of game, if you like that pressure, if you like that nuance of trying to work with people in subtle ways, then you should definitely check out No Honor Among Thieves. But also, if you like games that are resource management, a little bit of like sort of set collection where you're trying to match up symbols, I think you'll also feel right at home here. It's not a very long game, and it's also very easy to teach as well. You can get it up and running fairly quickly, especially after your first game. You should have no problem. So if any of those things sound like they appeal to you, if the theme appeals to you, definitely go to the Kickstarter page and check it out. You don't have to take my word for it. You can find out more information there by following the link in the top corner of your screen, as well as down in the description section underneath this video, and hopefully you'll consider backing the project. That is No Honor Among Thieves from Carpe Omnis Games. Thank you so much for watching and for supporting our sponsors. Take care. Thanks for watching. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Patreon. And make sure to check out our sponsor, Board Game Bliss, where you can find an amazing selection of games from around the world. BoardGameBliss.com. Thanks for your support.